Tutorial on tools. Open a new document and construct two independent points. And construct a segment connecting the 2 points. Construct a midpoint of the segment. Construct a perpendicular line through the segment. Activate the arrow tool and deselect everything by clicking the arrow tool on white space. Select the inputs in either order. Select the output, the perpendicular bisector. With these 3 objects selected, click and hold the Custom Tool button and a pop-up menu will appear. Select Create New Tool, name your tool, and click OK. To activate this tool, click and hold the Custom Tool icon so that a pop-up menu appears, and select your tool from the list. And there will be a check mark next to it. Now try out the tool. Now take a look at the Custom Tool pop-up menu. There's an option called Show Script View. You should drag this window out so it's bigger, and then read it. Given point A and point B, let AB equal a segment between them, let C equal the midpoint of AB, and let J equal the line perpendicular to AB passing through C. Now we're going to create some other tools. So I'm making some blank pages, and I'm calling them Step 11A, Step 11B, Step 11C, and Step 11D. And I'll go through each of these. First I select tab 11A. Given 2 opposite corners, construct a square. So this line segment is connected to the 2 input endpoints. The midpoint is also the center of the square. So I can select the endpoints and rotate them about that center of the square by 90 degrees to get the 4 points on the square. Then I select those points in turn, and Control L will construct line segments. And then I select my inputs, which are the 2 points, and the outputs, which are the 4 line segments, and I create a new tool. And I'll name this tool 11A tool. And that's how it works. Now we'll go to 11B. Create a tool that constructs a circle surrounded by 6 tangential circles. So I start out by drawing the 2 inputs, and then I construct the line segment between them so that I could get the midpoint, because that's the point where the 2 circles are tangent to each other. And then I can construct the 2 circles, and then the rest of the circles can be constructed by rotating the second circle by 60 degrees, and then rotating that one by 60 degrees, and again, and again, and again. So now I have all 6 circles. Then I select the input points. The outputs are all the circles, so Control A with the circle tool, compass tool selected, will select all circles. And then I create a new tool, and I name it 11B tool. And there's how it works. Then I go to 11C. Create a tool that constructs a rectangle with horizontal and vertical sides, given the opposite corners of the rectangle. So first I have to define what's meant by horizontal and vertical. I'll do that by translating a point 90 degrees is okay. I need to create some kind of segment so that I can define a perpendicular. I'll construct a perpendicular line. Then I'll construct another perpendicular line. And I'll construct another perpendicular line. One last perpendicular line. Now I create the intersections by simply clicking on the place where there's an intersection between two lines. And now I have the four corners of the rectangles. Now I hide the lines, and then I hide the extra point and line segment. And I click on the four corners of the rectangle in turn, and Control L will construct segments. And then I select my inputs and my outputs, and I create a new tool. I call it 11C tool. Here's how it works. And I go to 11D. Now 11D says create each of the 24 tools depicted below. Well, I'll just demonstrate the first 7. So in the first tool, I construct a line segment, or I construct a line through those 2 points, and then I rotate it by positive and negative 30 degrees about each of the 2 points. And then I construct some intersections, hide the lines, and construct the line segments. Select the inputs and the outputs, name the tool. Now for the second tool, I rotate each of the points by 60 degrees about the other point. I construct the line segments, select the inputs and the outputs, and I name the tool. For the third tool, I need to find the center of the circle, so I notice that the line segment is one side of the circumscribing square. So I construct the diagonal of the square, and its midpoint would be the center of the square and therefore the center of the circle. And then I construct the circle by finding the midpoint of that segment. I select only the inputs and the outputs so that my tool does just what I want it to do. And for the next one, I create the first 3 steps. And then I rotate them by 180 degrees and rotate all 6 steps by 180 degrees to get to the end. I hide the unwanted points, select the inputs and the outputs, and I have my fourth tool. For the fifth tool, I'll put the points closer together. I start out by defining a vector from the second point to the first and extending the first point so that the first point becomes the center of a circle. And then by rotating the second point, I get the other 2 points on the square. Test it out. For the sixth tool, let me get them closer together. I construct the first 2 steps, and then by defining a vector, I translate those first 2 steps and translate one more step and get all of them. And here's how it looks when I test it out. Now the seventh tool, the happy face tool, I have to decide exactly how big that circle is. So first I construct the mouth by noticing that it's the opposite two corners of a square. Then I find the center of the circle. Then I just find a vector from the center to one of the sides of the mouth and extend it that far to make the outside. Now I only select the two inputs and the mouth and the circle. And I have my circle tool, my face tool. Here's a fun thing you can do. Make a line segment and put the first eyeball on the endpoint and the second eyeball somewhere on the line segment. And then you construct a second face by putting the second eyeball on the intersection. And you just keep going. Will you ever reach the end of the line segment? Interesting little experiment. When you become more advanced, you can actually do things like this. You can make a slider that gives you an integer, and then you can create one face, put it so that it intersects, and then you can iterate to a depth of 8 and glue these points onto the line segment so you get the original picture, and then by moving the slider you can have it iterate to any depth you want. And you have demonstrated that no, you never get to the end of this line segment.